There's a secret behavior fake people can't control. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Why do powerful people fear this knowledge? Because it strips their mask instantly. Most people believe fake people are obvious. They think lies are loud, mistakes are visible, and deception looks clumsy. That belief keeps you vulnerable, because fake people don't reveal themselves through errors. They reveal themselves through precision. Too controlled, too polished, too strategically emotional. This is not about intuition, this is about structure. And once you see the structure, you will never look at people the same way again. Fake people are not evil, they are adaptive. They learned early that being themselves was unsafe, so they built a version that works. Psychologically, this is called persona over-identification, a concept deeply explored by Carl Jung. The persona is the mask society rewards. Fake people don't wear it occasionally, they live inside it. Here's a real-life scenario. You meet someone who agrees with everything you say, laughs at the right moments, mirrors your values perfectly, yet something feels empty. That emptiness is the absence of friction. Real humans create friction, masks don't. Forbidden insight. Fake people avoid micro-disagreement. They fear authenticity exposes instability. They don't challenge you, they study you. The mask becomes dangerous when it forgets it's a mask. Fake people don't lack emotion, they simulate it. Their reactions are timed, measured, predictable. That's because emotions are tools to them, not experiences. This aligns with the cold realism of Niccolò Machiavelli. Appear virtuous, not be virtuous. Here's a real-life scenario. Someone comforts you with perfect words, but afterward you feel unseen, because they responded to the idea of your pain, not the reality of it. Forbidden insight. Fake empathy lacks aftershock. Real empathy lingers. Fake empathy ends the moment it's performed. He who understands emotion without feeling it gains power over those who do. Most people think inconsistency exposes fakeness. Wrong. Fake people are too consistent. Their personality never fluctuates. Their mood never leaks. Their reactions stay within safe boundaries. True emotional regulation taught by Marcus Aurelius requires inner work. Fake control is external discipline. Here's a real-life scenario. No matter the situation, stress, loss, conflict, they remain unnaturally composed. That's not strength, that's suppression. Forbidden insight. Authentic people crack under pressure. Fake people freeze. Still water is not calm, it is stagnant. Fake people weaponize morality. They signal values loudly, announce goodness, display righteousness. This is moral theater, a phenomenon predicted by Friedrich Nietzsche. The loudest moralists often hide the weakest character. Here's a real-life scenario. They condemn others publicly, but excuse themselves privately. That contradiction is structural, not accidental. Forbidden insight. Fake people use morality to control perception, not behavior. They want approval, not integrity. Beware those who need to be seen as good. This is the fastest exposure method. Say less, pull back, withhold validation. Fake people unravel without mirrors. Here's a real-life scenario. You stop reacting, stop affirming, stop engaging emotionally. Watch carefully. Forbidden insight. Fake people panic when attention disappears, because the mask requires an audience. When the crowd leaves, the actor collapses. Fake people aren't rare, they are refined. They thrive in workplaces, relationships, leadership. Not because they are smarter, but because others are asleep. Now you're not. Fake people are calm until the environment stops cooperating. They don't break when things go well. They break when control slips. This part reveals what happens after the mask is challenged and why fake people fear pressure more than exposure. Stay alert. This part gets uncomfortable. Authentic people adapt under pressure. Fake people default. Pressure removes rehearsal. It eliminates scripts. It forces instinct. And instinct exposes construction. This aligns with Carl Jung's idea of the shadow. What is buried always surfaces when energy runs low. Here's a real-life scenario. A sudden conflict erupts, unexpected criticism, public disagreement. Watch closely. The fake person doesn't respond naturally. They overcorrect or shut down completely. Forbidden insight. Fake people don't improvise well because improvisation requires a stable self. Pressure does not change character, it reveals an absence of one. Fake people monitor their words obsessively, yet language always leaks truth. They speak in abstractions, rarely specifics, lots of we, people, they. Why? Specifics create accountability, abstractions create safety. This strategic ambiguity mirrors the tactics described by Niccolò Machiavelli. Say enough to sound aligned, not enough to be bound. Here's a real-life scenario. Ask them a direct question about responsibility. They respond with philosophy, general values, long explanations, but no ownership. Forbidden insight. Fake people fear being pinned down because truth has edges. The liar hides in vagueness. The honest man risks clarity. Authentic people enjoy validation. Fake people require it. Their identity is externally powered. Remove praise, remove feedback, remove attention. Observe the shift. This dependence contradicts Stoic self-sufficiency taught by Marcus Aurelius. What depends on others is never stable. Here's a real-life scenario. You stop complimenting them, stop reacting, stop affirming their choices. They grow restless, irritable, or suddenly cold. Forbidden insight. Fake people confuse attention with existence. No mirror, no self. What cannot stand alone was never solid. Fake people advertise values, but values shift with advantage. Watch what happens when morality becomes inconvenient. This was brutally exposed by Friedrich Nietzsche, who warned that proclaimed virtue often hides weakness. Here's a real-life scenario. A situation arises where integrity costs them status. They hesitate, justify, rationalize, then compromise. Forbidden insight. Fake people don't betray values. They never had them. They had branding. When survival demands it, the mask votes first. This is the ultimate test. Silence.
No explanation. No confrontation. No emotional engagement. Just distance. Fake people interpret silence as threat. Here's a real-life scenario. You withdraw calmly. No drama, no justification. They react disproportionately. Anger, smear, sudden generosity, anything to regain control. Forbidden insight. Fake people need reaction to orient themselves. Silence removes the stage. When the audience leaves, the illusion dies. Fake people survive through reflection. Authentic people survive through alignment. One needs performance, the other needs truth. Now you know the difference, and knowledge changes power dynamics permanently. One-on-one, fake people are manageable. In groups, they become dangerous. Because crowds don't amplify truth, they amplify confidence. And fake people understand one forbidden rule: perception beats reality in social systems. This part exposes how fake people rise, rule, and remain protected, while authentic people are doubted, sidelined, or erased. Pay attention. This knowledge shifts power. Groups don't select the most capable, they select the most legible. Fake people simplify themselves: clear opinions, strong stances, predictable emotions. This creates comfort. This aligns with Carl Jung's insight: groups regress psychologically. The individual thinks, the group reacts. Here's a real-life scenario. In meetings, one person speaks confidently, repeats common beliefs, avoids nuance. They're seen as a leader, not because they're right, but because they're easy to follow. Forbidden insight. Groups mistake certainty for competence. Fake people exploit that confusion. When thinking feels hard, confidence feels like truth. Fake people never stand alone. They build social insurance. They flatter upward, protect sideways, sacrifice downward. This is pure Niccolò Machiavelli. Never rely on virtue, rely on positioning. Here's a real-life scenario. They defend powerful people loudly, laugh at their jokes, echo their opinions. In return, they gain protection. Forbidden insight. Fake people don't need to be competent, they need to be useful. He who secures alliances survives his own emptiness. Fake people weaponize group morality. They don't argue facts, they question intentions. They imply, they suggest, they frame. This triggers fear of social exile, a danger long warned about by Friedrich Nietzsche. Here's a real-life scenario. Someone challenges them logically. They respond with, "That's problematic. That feels wrong. That's not who we are." The group turns. Forbidden insight. Fake people don't win debates, they win narratives. When truth threatens the group chooses comfort. Authentic people value substance, groups value signals. Stoicism, as taught by Marcus Aurelius, was never designed for popularity. Silence is strength internally, but externally it's misread. Here's a real-life scenario. A calm, capable person stays quiet. A loud, shallow person dominates discussion. Guess who gets promoted? Forbidden insight. Groups reward visibility, not depth. Fake people know this. Authentic people ignore it. The crowd does not hear wisdom spoken softly. You don't outperform fake people, you outposition them. Here's how. Speak briefly but clearly. Attach your ideas to outcomes. Document everything. Avoid moral arguments. Stick to results. Do not expose them publicly. Groups protect illusions. Instead, let consequences speak. Here's a real-life scenario. You stop competing socially. You start building undeniable value. Suddenly, the mask looks fragile. Forbidden insight. Fake people collapse when results replace narratives. When performance is measured, illusion starves. Fake people dominate social systems because systems reward appearance, but appearance has an expiration date. Truth is slow, but permanent. Now you see the mechanics, and once you see the machine, you stop being crushed by it. Like the video if you prefer power over applause, because in the long game, reality always audits perception. Fake people don't lose because they're exposed, they lose because they become irrelevant. This is the final truth. Not confrontation, not revenge, not public victory, quiet removal. What follows is not advice, it's a strategy. Fake influence survives in ambiguity. Authority survives in measurement. This is the transition fake people can't make. They talk, you deliver. They narrate, you document.
This aligns with the ruthless clarity of Niccolò Machiavelli. Power flows to those who control outcomes, not opinions. Here's a real-life scenario. Meetings are full of words. You introduce metrics, timelines, results, receipts. The room changes. Forbidden insight. Fake people fear systems that remember. When outcomes speak, performers fall silent. You don't attack the mask, you remove its reflection. This principle comes directly from Carl Jung. The persona feeds on reinforcement. Withdraw it. No admiration, no outrage, no emotional response, just neutrality. Here's a real-life scenario. They provoke subtly. You respond minimally. They escalate. You remain flat. They expose themselves. Forbidden insight. Fake people unravel when they can't locate themselves in others. A shadow disappears when there is no light to cast it. Authority isn't loud, it's predictable. This is where Stoicism becomes lethal. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire without theatrics. Consistency, fairness, boundaries, no favoritism, no emotional bargaining. Here's a real-life scenario. You respond the same way, whether praised or attacked. People begin to trust the pattern. Fake people can't compete here. Forbidden insight. Unemotional consistency terrifies manipulators. What cannot be shaken becomes the center. Fake people announce values. Real power embodies them. This is the inversion warned about by Friedrich Nietzsche. Stop explaining who you are. Let behavior accumulate. Time does the advertising. Here's a real-life scenario. You don't claim integrity, you enforce standards. Quietly, relentlessly. The contrast becomes obvious. Forbidden insight. Values spoken invite debate. Values enforced create gravity. Let them argue words. You build weight. Exposure creates enemies. Irrelevance creates endings. Fake people collapse when access is limited, attention is removed, outcomes are tracked. No drama, no declaration, just absence. Here's a real-life scenario. They fade from influence, from relevance, from memory. You remain. Forbidden insight. The most complete victory leaves no scene. The strongest exit leaves no echo. Fake people rise fast. They fall quietly. Authentic power rises slowly, but it doesn't fall. Now you understand how masks work, how groups are manipulated, how influence is dismantled, how authority is built without noise. This is not motivation, this is orientation, and orientation decides outcomes. Remember, the loud seek attention, the fake seek control, the powerful seek alignment. That's the difference.